Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we re-diving into a story that has got the Canadian motorcycle community buzzing. The announced restart of the Satan's Choice Motorcycle Club in 2025. This is unjust news. It's the revival of a name that carries a massive weight of history, controversy, and Canadian identity. So, what's the real story behind this comeback? Let's get into it. First, a quick history lesson for those who might not be familiar. Satan's Choice MC wasn't just any club. At its peak in the 1970s, it was one of the largest and most powerful motorcycle clubs in Canada, with a presence that stretched right across the country. Founded in the mid-1960s, they were a uniquely Canadian phenomenon, a homegrown club that commanded respect and headlines in equal measure. They were known for their distinct patches, their strict code, and their formidable reputation. The original Satan's Choice was a major player in the Canadian biker scene, often finding themselves at the center of media attention and law enforcement scrutiny. Their story is a complex tapestry of brotherhood, rebellion, and conflict. It's a story that includes territorial disputes, high-profile court cases, and a constant struggle against a certain public image. But by the early 2000s, things had changed dramatically. A series of internal shifts, law enforcement crackdowns, and the expansion of larger international clubs led to the original Satan's Choice effectively ceasing to exist as a major national entity. Many of its chapters were absorbed or patched over by other clubs. For all intents and purposes, the era of the original Satan's Choice seemed to be over, a closed chapter in Canadian history. That's what makes the recent announcement so significant. A group claiming a direct lineage to the original founders and principles of the club has declared that Satan's Choice will officially restart in 2025. This is untaped patchover or an affiliation with another group. They are positioning this as a genuine resurrection of the original Canadian club. So, who is behind this revival? The new leadership emphasizes that they are returning to the club's roots. They talk about reclaiming a Canadian identity in a scene now dominated by international organizations. The message is one of independence and a return to the old-school values they believe defined the original club. They're remaking it clear that they are not affiliated with any of the major one-percenter clubs currently operating in Canada. This is a declaration of sovereignty, and it's a bold one. What does this mean for the Canadian biker landscape? Well, it's complicated, and it's definitely going to shake things up. The motorcycle club world is all about territory, respect, and protocol. The re-emergence of a famous name like Satan's Choice isn't something that can just happen quietly. Other established clubs, who have spent decades building their own presence in the territories where Satan's Choice once reigned, will be watching very closely. The dynamics of this are fascinating. On one hand, you have the new Satan's Choice trying to carve out a space for themselves based on a historical claim. On the other, you have the current power structures that won't necessarily just step aside. How this plays out will depend heavily on diplomacy, respect, and the sheer number of members the new Satan's Choice can attract. They are essentially trying to plant their flag in a landscape that has changed immensely since the club's heyday. Naturally, law enforcement agencies across the country are also paying close attention. Anytime a major motorcycle club announces its formation, or in this case, its reformation, it becomes a priority for police intelligence units. They'll be monitoring the situation to understand the new club's structure, its leadership, and its intentions. Given the history associated with the name, scrutiny will be intense from day one. From a public perspective, the reaction is mixed. For some, especially those interested in biker history and culture, this is an exciting development. It's seen as a revival of a piece of Canadian counterculture history. There's a certain nostalgia and romance associated with the old-school biker image, and this comeback taps directly into that. It speaks to a desire for authenticity and a rejection of the more corporate feel some people associate with larger, international clubs. For others, the name Satan's Choice still brings up concerns. They remember the headlines from the 70s and 80s and worry about a potential return to the conflicts of the past. It's a name that, for better or worse, is linked in the public mind with a certain kind of outlaw image, and reviving it is a deliberate and powerful statement. So, what are the next steps? The group has announced 2025 as their official start date. This year leading up to it is likely a crucial period of recruitment and organization. They'll be vetting potential members, establishing their bylaws, and designing their new, yet historically inspired, patches. The design of the patch itself will be hugely symbolic. It will need to honor the past while representing the club's new iteration. Will they use the iconic original Devil's Head logo? That's one of the big questions everyone is asking. They will also need to establish their clubhouse or clubhouses. This is a critical step for any MC. The clubhouse is the heart of the chapter. A private space for meetings, events, and building the bonds of brotherhood that are so central to club life. Where they choose to establish these first chapters will be a major indicator of their strategy and ambition. It's also a story about identity. The new Satan's Choice is explicitly framing this as a Canadian movement. They are tapping into a sentiment that the local motorcycle scene has lost some of its unique Canadian character. By re-establishing a historic Canadian club, they are making a statement about national pride and independence within that subculture. This could be a very powerful recruiting tool, attracting members who feel a similar way. This revival also raises interesting questions about legacy. Can a club that has been dormant for so long truly be reborn? Or will this new version be something entirely different, simply using a famous name? The new leadership would argue they are the rightful heirs, carrying the torch of the original founders. Skeptics might see it as an attempt to trade on a legendary reputation without having earned it in the same way the original members did. Ultimately, their actions after 2025 will be the only thing that can answer that question. As we look ahead to 2025, the Canadian motorcycle scene is on the cusp of a potentially transformative event. The restart of Satan's Choice is more than just a new club hitting the streets. It's a challenge to the status quo, a revival of a legendary name, and a test of whether the past can be reborn in the present. It's a story with deep roots in Canadian history, and its next chapter is about to be written. We'll be keeping a close eye on this as it develops, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel for updates. What do you think about this comeback? Is it a welcome return to Canadian roots, or is it destined to create conflict? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I read all of them, and I'm really curious to hear your take on this. Thanks for watching today. Your support means the world. Ride safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Do UNT forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you do UNT miss out on future content.